There's no evidence to say it really does anything valuable.
Dr. Mike is in my inbox. Thanks so much for tuning in. Welcome back to the studio. Actually, this is a new studio. I'm here in Chicago now, just recently moved. If you're new to the channel, my name is Jesse Coomer. Today, I got a message from a viewer, and it's from this Dr. Mike. He's actually, I've seen his videos before, and I generally like what he has to say. So I got this in my inbox. I thought I would just go ahead and make a video of reaction to it. Let's go ahead and watch it, and then I will respond. So,
Medically, I'm never gonna recommend to my patient, ever in my life as a physician, to go do a cold plunge. This is the difference between people who are excited about information and are researchers versus someone who's a clinician and actually sees patients and the hard time they're having in their everyday lives. And then I'm gonna come in there and be like, oh, in my fancy suit, I'm gonna tell you to get a cold plunge.
as a clinician, he is dedicated to doing no harm, and telling a person to go take a cold plunge is a potential harm for a lot of people. Not only are there many people who have contraindications that should prevent them from getting into cold exposure therapy, but in addition to that, cold exposure therapy, because it has grown so much and is continuing to become so popular, it is full of absolutely stupid guidance out there. And actually, this is why I wrote the book, A Practical Guide to Cold Training. You can check that out. It was because I kept seeing so many people do stupid things, getting themselves into just ridiculous situations that they would never have to. And this is mostly because there's so many gurus and people that are out there that are talking about the benefits of cold training, and they're not talking about how to do it safely.
It's expensive, it's time consuming. Most patients do not live in this world that they can afford to buy a tub.
Yes, there are incredibly expensive, very nice cold plunges. I've tried many of those. They're great. If you can afford them, awesome. But one of the reasons why a lot of us have gotten into cold training is because for most of us, it's incredibly cheap. If you live in a place that gets cold in the wintertime, you've got an endless source of cold exposure waiting for you outside. Or if you do it like I did it, especially for the first 2 years of my cold training career, I just took cold showers. In fact, cold showers are, for most people, the bedrock of their cold training practice. And it's only when they progress or want to get a little bit more adventurous that they go into a cold plunge, ice bathing, or whatever else that there is out there that they'd like to get into. Cold showers are actually one of the most accessible and least expensive ways to challenge thermostasis, and you can still get a great benefit from a cold shower. Especially, I'm in Chicago now, they're gonna get cold here. These cold showers, especially in the wintertime, are gonna get very cold.
There's no evidence to say it really does anything valuable.
Yes, it is true that there have been so many claims, and there's been a lot of speculation on the benefits of cold plunging, a lot of kind of picking from this study and that study, and just assuming that if you do this sort of training, you're gonna get this or that kind of result. And there are a lot of people who oversimplify or who want to mechanize this.
And if you do it for 3 minutes and not 3 minutes, 13.4 seconds, you fail. It's not real. There's no evidence. It doesn't exist.
So he makes a reference to if you only spend 3 minutes as opposed to 3 minutes and so many seconds, you fail. And it's a little confusing the way they have it in this video, because that's sort of, it seems like a sort of an arbitrary number. What he's referring to is the two biggest questions that I continuously get. I do workshops, retreats, corporate events, all these things. The two biggest questions I get: how cold do I need to go, and how long do I need to stay in the cold? And I wrote a whole book about it, but just as to put it in a nutshell, how much weight do I need to lift to build muscle? It's completely dependent on the individual. It has nothing to do with the fact that if you do 11 minutes, like the Soberg principle or whatever, that is just some kind of a magical thing. It's a matter of where the person is. It's just like exercise. In fact, much of the beneficial side of cold training is because cold training mimics exercise. We see the ramping up of the sympathetic nervous system. We see changes in circulation, and as a result, we also see a hormetic response, much like what we see with exercise. It is not something to be used in the place of exercise. Exercise in itself is still the grand poobah, the number one thing you need to focus on once you have your sleep and your diet set. It is far superior to cold training. But for some people, they're not able to get out there and go run or lift weights. For some people, this is as close as they can get, so it's a fantastic proxy. For others like myself, who exercise already, this is a great way to enhance what you're already doing.
There's no evidence to say it really does anything valuable.
There's mountains of evidence to show that it does a lot for inflammation, and there are quite a bit of data for the improvement of our immune system. There's a lot of other ones that they make that I admit are overstatements. But the greatest value that I see in cold training is that it's a difficult thing that can build overall resilience. When you do this, and you do this on a regular basis, you start to see yourself as a person who can do difficult things. That is something you cannot buy. That is something you cannot be convinced of in any other way other than actually doing it. If you're having a person who is having a difficult time with stress resilience, this can be a fantastic tool. Now, do you have to tell them to go buy a $5,000 cold plunge? Obviously, no. For the vast majority of people, simply getting into a cold shower is more than enough. You tell them, go take a cold shower each day. Do your very best to put 30 seconds at the end of your hot shower. That is a huge mental boost to how you look at yourself and how you look at your ability to tackle difficulty and challenges. And this is one of the greatest benefits that I see in myself over the 12 years that I've been practicing. It's one of the greatest benefits that I've seen in my clients who come to me on the regular, looking for ways to be more resilient under stress, looking for ways to build more confidence. Confidence is something that you can't just trick yourself intellectually into having. You have to show yourself that you're capable. And this is a great way to do that without having to spend a lot of money. I completely understand where he's coming from, and I think a lot of it is from maybe a misunderstanding of this field because it is growing very quickly and there's a lot of marketing, there's a lot of people selling products. But cold training is an inexpensive way to train yourself to become more stress resilient. It does offer benefits such as anti-inflammation, and in many cases, we're starting to see more and more evidence that it does boost our immune function. Does it mean you're never going to catch a cold? Obviously not. And there's people out there that make that claim, and that's a vast overstatement. A healthy immune system will come down with a cold now and then. That's normal. What we're doing when we're getting into the cold is we're building more than just one or two mechanistic things. We're building an ability to be more resilient amongst all stressors, and we're building a self-image that you just can't buy. Thanks so much for sending me this video. I appreciate it. If you have other videos or other things you'd like me to respond to, I'd be happy to do those. Take a look at the links below for my information and feel free to reach out. I'd love to make a video for you. What do you think about this? Is there anything that I've missed? Anything that you'd like to add? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And lastly, always remember to go out there and be kind to somebody today.